As oil prices fall, the push for alternatives may ease. Producing new cars can take years, while crude oil prices can rise or fall in days or hours. Just 4 months ago, a conference here on electric cars drew 4 times as many people as expected. District fire marshals ordered some of the crowd to leave, and the atmosphere was more like that of a rock concert than an energy conference. A brief film depicted an electric car owner driving off to the strains of The Power of Love. The audience cheered. One discordant note in the series of speeches came from Bill Reinert, one of the Toyota Prius designers. He cautioned that designing and ramping up production of a new car takes approximately 5 years. So then, if oil goes down to $60 or $70 a barrel and gasoline gets back to $2.50 a gallon or so, and that very possibly could happen, and it's happening right now, well, will that demand stay the same, or will we shift back up? It didn't take 5 years to hit those numbers. One type of oil shock is given way to another, even more swiftly than the price of oil rose. It has tumbled to the range that seemed very far-fetched when Reinert spoke and oil was more than $130 a barrel. Now that sudden drop threatens a wide variety of game-changing plans to find alternatives to oil or ways to drastically reduce U.S. consumption. So, here we go again. U.S. oil consumption will be going back up. Then people will start buying large vehicles again, big trucks and big cars. And the alternative energy sources, well, nobody will even care about them much anymore. So we'll be right back to where we started. Or standing still. Declining oil prices can give us an artificial and temporary sense that reducing oil consumption and energy consumption is an issue we can just keep putting off and putting off, said the managing director of Good Energies, a multi-billion-dollar venture capital firm that invests in global clean energy. The credit crisis is compounding that threat by making it more difficult to finance capital-intensive projects, whether they are new auto assembly lines or solar panels or wind turbines. General Motors has been touting the Chevy Volt as the first mass-marketed plug-in hybrid vehicle. GM, which has been holding merger talks with Chrysler, believes the project will help justify federal financing. Theoretically, it hopes to deliver the car by the end of 2010, although it will be somewhat expensive or pricey. Tesla Motors, a maker of a handful of very pricey electric sports cars, had planned to unveil a cheaper sedan next year. But now, well, of course, it has delayed the new model because of trouble lining up financing. It also said it would close 2 offices and has replaced its chief executive. The uncertain future of electric cars or alternative transportation points to a sticky aspect of the global oil equation. The price of oil can change very rapidly, but responses that would cut petroleum use take a lot more time. As oil prices climbed, major automakers including GM, Renault, Nissan, and Toyota, and Mitsubishi moved ahead with plans to produce plug-in vehicles, but the first of those cars won't be ready for at least a couple of years. What the price of oil will be then, and what consumers' appetite for plug-in cars will be then, well, God knows. Focusing on efficiency. Doing something about the amount of gasoline Americans use is essential to diffusing future oil shocks and to reducing the impact on the planet Earth, global warming and climate change, which is speeding up faster than any models have predicted. The American motorist is among the most prolific in the world. More than 1 out of every 9 barrels of oil produced worldwide ends up in the gas tanks of cars in the United States. The amount of petroleum or oil burned by U.S. motorists exceeds the entire crude oil output of Saudi Arabia, and that has propped up demand and prices. Yet U.S. cars or vehicles are among the least fuel efficient in the world. The U.S. dependence on oil imports is based on waste, yes, pure waste, not on needs, said the chief executive of an Italian oil giant, Eni. Electric cars aren't the only answer. More efficient cars or vehicles, whether better combustion engines or hybrids like the Prius, may be a cheaper way to achieve big fuel savings. Some firms are creating substitute fuels such as ethanol derived from corn or diesel derived from algae. Biofuel players range from the oil majors such as BP and Royal Dutch Shell to ethanol giants Sun Energy, and to tiny firms like Solarzyme, which started in its founder's garage 5 years ago and is now testing an algae catalyst in a large commercial vat. Many firms are working on different kinds of ethanol derived from organic materials such as grasses or wood chips, but those factories are still in the pilot or demonstration stage, many years away from full-scale production. And almost all of those alternatives rely on federal subsidies or are counting on lower costs as technology evolves. The cheaper oil gets, the bigger those technological improvements need to be to compete. So, the cheaper the price of the gasoline gets, the less interest that people have in alternative energy. How's that going to save the planet from global warming or climate change? And yes, climate change is real. The electric car has the potential for making a bigger impact than alternative fuels because it would be powered by the electricity grid, which relies on a mix of coal, nuclear, natural gas, and renewable energy sources. Moreover, recharging an electric car is much cheaper than refueling a gasoline car. Its proponents say the electric car has transformative potential that other transportation alternatives lack. We want customers to see the Volt as a game changer it is, not only for the technology, but also for business, and maybe more importantly, for the way the world gets around. Reducing our oil dependency meaningfully in the U.S. so we won't be dependent on foreign oil under any scenario requires radically improving the efficiency of our vehicles. But because batteries for electric cars are expensive, plug-in cars are going to cost as much as $8,000 more than conventional gasoline cars. The lower the price of gasoline, the longer it is going to take for fuel savings to make up for the car purchase premium. A very long road to transition. Electric vehicles might not solve all strategic issues either. We should, we must, as a major national priority or national emergency, absolutely, totally, completely destroy oil's monopoly to break the U.S. dependence on foreign oil. But how are we going to do that if the price of oil keeps going down? Nobody will be interested in doing that. They'll just go back to business as usual, and nothing will change. And global warming, climate change will get worse and worse and worse, faster and faster. And then, when the big oil shock again comes, when the price goes up again, which it will, because these are peak oil days no matter what. Well, anyway, get the picture? These are all more signs in the end times transition. transition days, and there are many, many signs.